Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of our new podcast called The Long Game. My name is Franco.
And I'm Jarrod.
So every episode we'll talk about what's happening in the market, the stories you need to follow, the stocks you need to put in your watch list, and the plays you should know about so we can help you stay in the long game. So let's get started. So today's episode is about outliers. But before we talk about the outliers, let's provide some context on why they are so important right now. So for those who haven't really been updated, a lot of the downturns in the market has been caused by the flood control issues, the weaker confidence in our economy and government. So last Friday, November 14, something shocking was uploaded on, Facebook, YouTube, and basically every social media platform. And what was that, Jared? What happened?
It was basically former Representative Zaldico ratting out the president and former Speaker Romualdez.
Yeah, so in the video, he was claiming that the 100 billion peso worth insertions in the budget for 2025 was a direct order from the president. And about 25% or about a lot of kickback basically went back to President Marcos and Romualdez in the form of cash-filled briefcases, luggages. I mean, he even showed photos about it.
Yes,
right?
he did.
And the funny thing is, a lot of people, a lot of supporters of Marcos and whatnot, have been claiming, oh, it's an AI-generated video and AI-generated images, which honestly is no surprise if that's happened because it's insane how AI has progressed, right?
Yeah, but for me, like the evidence is not yet as strong because that can be any luggage, right? And it's very weird how he's presenting it in like part 1, part 2, part 3. It's like he's really trying to stage it, right?
He's trying to build suspense.
Yes, and he wants to see how people will react first, right? Maybe before uploading the next part. But we don't know. Even the palace, they denied everything. They said it's hearsay.
Of course,
right?
they'll deny it. They're not gonna say, "Oh, yeah, Marcos did that."
So I don't know. Very interesting times. But last Friday, the market did sell off.
Yeah,
It hit as low as 5,584.
the lowest since May 2020. Those are pandemic levels, everyone. It's insane.
Yeah, but good enough. On Monday, the market really rebounded strongly. And
Yeah, that was November 17, up
Yeah.
3.5%.
then now I think it's at around 5,800.
Yeah,
already.
and I think that rally, that 3.5% rally, seems reasonable considering that the fundamentals of all these companies are much better than they were back in 2020. Given that they are trading at the same level right now, so we'll just have to see if it sustains. Because to me, it feels like a technical rally, don't you
Yep.
think?
Yep.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the PSEi is still at very depressed levels where if we break past around the 5,700 level again, the next support is at 5,400.
Which is very disheartening to a lot
Yeah.
of investors because that's what nearly 15 years of gains gone.
Yep.
But
There's some good news.
there are outliers because for just so you guys know, the dividend harvest is actually up 30% year to date, despite the market being almost 15% down this year. Yeah, okay. So to the main topic, outliers. So these names have been steadily rising or have been consolidating despite all the market volatility. And so they are outliers.
Yep. So it should help give investors some hope in the market, right? Not all Philippine stocks are bad, right? There
Yeah.
are some that still perform well even during bad times. So let's take a look at them, right? So what do we have first?
Okay, the first one is ICT, probably the best one in this entire list. So today, year to date, it's up almost 44%. So that says a lot about the stock already. So why is it such a good stock and an outlier today? Well, it is the PSE's only globally scaled infrastructure champion. I would describe it as. So it has unmatched dividend growth in the entire PSE. So the DPS, the dividend per share this year, sorry, in 2025 grew 28% year over year, which is pretty impressive for a company that has matured a lot.
Yes, and it's the most valuable company in the Philippines,
Yeah,
right?
the only 1
the
trillion
PSE.
peso company after HVN got reevaluated
Yeah,
by the SEC and
Which
well,
right now it's at its fourth flooring.
I know that's
price.
honestly it's such a crazy thing to watch. A stock dropping 30% for 4 days straight.
It's like at 300 billion na lang. Right?
Yeah, from 2,000 pesos per share to about less than 800 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, going back to ICT, its 5-year CAGR is at 34%, while its 15-year CAGR is 27%. So, 15 years of consistent dividend growth. And the best thing about this stock is its dividend policy. Do you know what the dividend policy is?
So basically, it will not go below previous year. Right?
Exactly, that is correct.
So
So
it's
that
a qualitative
is such a
one.
sweet thing to hear as an investor. But yeah. So another great thing about ICT is that it's a dominant operator with long-term concessions. I mean, yeah, we have ATI, but it's not ICT. ICT operates in a bigger
It's
scale.
global. Unlike ATI, it's only in the Philippines, and I think they're starting to expand regionally.
Yeah.
But they don't have the scale like ICT.
Yeah, so ICT operates 33 terminals across 19 countries with concession terms or tenors extending up to 2072, which is huge.
Wow.
I'll be
So-
73 years old by the time that happens.
So basically, ICT has cash flow generation until 2072
Yeah, exactly.
because it's secured, right?
So that's why it's such a good stock because earnings visibility is so long and growth is so
so you can
extensive.
forecast earnings until
until the
2072.
the end of the
Wow.
concession. And it provides a natural barrier to entry because the fact that the minimum or the average concession term is 25 years. So no one else can compete for 25 years against ICT. That's
Yep.
their terminal for 25 years. It's crazy. Okay. And then another great thing about ICT is because infrastructure is so capex heavy, and the fact that it's terminals, ports, and I have to upgrade, maintain it. It's very difficult to replicate. That business model would require billions of investments, and not every company here in the Philippines is going to do that.
Yes, you have to invest in cranes, all those the cargo units, all
Yeah.
those boats, all that. So yeah, ICT is incredible.
Yeah, we're glazing ICT so much, and we just started.
So what were the latest developments with ICT?
Okay, I think the biggest development, or the biggest one so far was them winning against Maersk Group. Basically, Maersk is one of the largest operators in the
Yet
entire
they beat
world,
them,
and
right?
they beat them for the South African Durban Container Terminal 2.
Yeah, you can't bully ICT. They're no small shot, right?
Yeah. So now, because of that, it's a huge uplift for them because that terminal handles approximately 46% of South Africa's total traffic. That's about
Wow.
2 million TEUs. TEUs is that big container they use.
Yes.
2 million per year.
Wow. So basically, the global trade of South Africa, half of it is controlled by ICT.
Well, it's in South Africa. About
Yeah.
70+% is controlled by ICT because 70% is in Durban. Yeah. So it's huge. Next is there are other extensions that they also did. Like for Subic, they extended by 25 years. Mindanao, they extended to 2058. And then they also have the East Java, the EJMT. It's a new deep water berth. It was completed last year, and that concession was extended to 2072. And then they have one in Cameroon, which was extended to 2050. So they're working a lot on extensions,
Yep.
and that really solidifies their position. Yeah. So other things about ICT is the earnings. So since after the pandemic, ICT's earnings has been growing consistently at a very good rate. So revenue surged 16% year over year for the first 9 months of 2025 to 2.3 billion. That's a new record, I believe. And because of better tariff adjustments, higher services, and volume recovery across its key markets around the world. EBITDA grew 17% to $1.5 billion, with margins improving to about 66%. So that says a lot about their operational efficiency. Net income for shareholders grew 19%, one of the best performers in the index, to $752 million, with a recurring net income growing 22%. So I think we can expect much larger dividends in 2026.
And it's
right?
still growing by double digits every single year.
Every year.
Even at its valuation of around 1 trillion pesos.
Yeah, so
This could be the next 2 trillion, 3 trillion peso company, right?
wouldn't you like to see that? In the US, it's because of tech. In the Philippines, it's what?
Yeah,
Because
cargo.
of logistics, ICT.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last one is the throughput, the volume. It expanded by 11% to 10.7 million TEUs, with solid contributions from America and Asia. So great stock. We want to try to catch this at support as much as possible. If we go back to the chart, it's respecting the 50 and the 100-day moving average. So you want to catch it somewhere there. But right now, it's testing new highs. So it's tricky because, you don't want to chase price, but at the same time, you don't want to miss out on ICT.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's next, Jarrod?
So next, let's go to our gold stocks.
One of the hottest
Right.
trends of 2025.
So first we have PX, which it's almost up 200% year to date.
Crazy.
So here's PX. We also have APX, so also owned by Enrique Razon. So this is up around 177% year
Yeah.
to date. Then we have OGP for the dividend paying stocks.
Which we bought for the dividend harvest, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's up 100% this year, and it quickly recovered after that steep drop.
Yeah, because
right?
gold prices dipped below 4,000.
Yeah.
They had a huge sell of 5%, the biggest in a long time.
And now it just, as soon as they declared dividends, it never looked back. No?
Yeah, the conversion right now is about 82 cents.
Yep. Then next we have Lepanto, so honorable mention.
Yeah, we did trade this for the strategic,
Yep.
although if we
sold-
held a little longer, we would have
Yeah.
experienced about 50% gain.
Yeah, we couldn't sell near the top, but we made
We did
profit
solid
naman.
solid profit. Solid
Yeah,
profit
so
still.
not bad.
Yeah.
So
Just wish we held on. Just a
Yes.
few days longer.
yeah, like 1-2 weeks longer.
Yeah.
Okay, so why are gold stocks going up? So first of all, it's following gold's move. So
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
that's self-explanatory. So right when you talk about revenues, it's price times quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So the quantity, even if it stays flat, let's say they mine the same amount of gold. If the price of the gold goes up, then they're still making more money. Right?
Yeah, because gold is what, at a super cycle.
Yep.
Earlier this year, they were expecting gold to hit 4,000 in 2026, but it did hit almost 4.2 before 2026.
Yep. The good thing about our gold miners here is that they're also increasing production
Yeah,
as they mine new areas, right?
I think PX has the most promise in terms of new production.
Yep. So it's also become sort of a negative beta play,
Yeah.
right? So what beta is the sensitivity of a stock to the overall market,
Yeah.
right? So let's say if the PSEi goes up 1%, if the beta's 1,
They
then
go up 1%.
the stock goes up 1%.
Yeah,
If it's a negative beta, if the PSEi drops 1%, the stock goes up 1%. So that's sort of how I see gold stocks right now.
Yeah.
It's a negative beta.
but even
play.
if the index was going up, if
It
gold
still
is
follows, right?
yeah, if gold is still above 4,000 rallying, then it will still rally.
And it's also becoming a hedge against the weakening peso.
Yeah.
Right now it's at 59.
It did strengthen though recently because it was at a support level,
Yeah.
resistance level.
But if that breaks out, that's going to 60, 61,
Yeah.
right? So if that happens, then it will definitely be good to hold on to gold, right? Gold exposure.
It's also a good hedge against inflation, although inflation lately has been very low, below 2%, the government's target. So
Yep.
keep that up. We might see another rate cut.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that when you're investing in the gold miners, you're not buying actual gold. You're buying the company producing the gold.
Yeah.
You're buying the machine that produces the gold, not the actual
Actual
gold
gold.
itself.
Would you buy gold
If I had money,
if you had the $4,000
give me money.
per ounce? But you know what's also funny? Remember when gold was trading at 4,000 for the first time,
Yeah.
and people in Hong Kong were lining up at pawn shops to sell their gold.
Actually, a funny story because I went to Binondo sometime that time, and the stores were filled. I never see the gold stores in Binondo filled, but when I went there, it was full.
It's
First time.
it's people selling their family heirlooms
Yeah,
that
or
are
buying
gold,
engagement rings. I
buying
don't know.
gold, yeah, selling gold mostly. I bet, yeah.
So yeah, it's really there's a gold craze right now. It's a gold rush.
But things seem to have died down just a bit
just a bit
because
like,
gold is starting to pull back and try
yeah,
to find
it's
a
not
base
as
again.
hyped as it was like maybe a few months ago.
Yeah,
So there.
but still, gold is something to watch.
Yep. So let's look into each of the companies specifically. So first, PX. Why is it going up? I wouldn't say PX is going up because of its current mines because they're mostly mature
Yeah,
and they're starting to deplete. That's why you really when you invest in PX, you're really betting on the Silangan
Silangan
mine.
mine, which will open in the first quarter of 2026, and we're not far from
yeah.
that.
So yeah, maybe what's that? 3, 4, 5 months away.
Yeah.
It's not that far. Right?
It'll be something to watch because if they are able to acquire or produce and mine a lot of the ore that they said, then I think there's more upside to PX.
Yes. But however, you have to consider that it has execution risk. right?
Exactly.
So of course, when you're starting a mine, you might building the infrastructure like digging the tunnels, the safety equipment, right, and all that. Let's say if it rains, it might flood. All those considerations.
Yeah.
You have to think about that, and you don't know if the market has priced that in because it's very hard to
Exactly.
estimate.
It's
it.
hard to estimate forces of nature, right?
Yeah.
But going into 2026, early 2026, I think the typhoon season is starting to
Better
dissipate.
weather.
Yeah, we're
So-
starting to see better weather, especially once we hit summer. Yeah.
Now, then you just have to hope there's no earthquakes, right?
Oh yeah, the big one. That's what a lot of people were talking about a few months ago
Actually,
because of all the earthquakes every week.
actually, when the Cebu earthquakes happened, I believe,
APX.
the Mako mine of Apex Mining was
Yeah.
temporarily shut down,
Yeah.
suspended because there might if it has an aftershock, you have miners stuck there. They might get trapped, right?
Yeah, and you have to save them
Yeah.
before, and then you have to make sure the mine is safe again before you can operate, and that
Yep.
can take some time depending on the damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Talking about APX, let's talk about APX and OGP. So
Yeah. Probably my favorite two gold plays.
yes, so if you're really looking for an active mine that's really growing in production, then it's really APX. So very consistent, the Mako mine, and I think they're trying to extend the mine. They're exploring if there are more gold reserves or not. So that's very exciting for that. Then if you want dividends, so APX is for the growth, right? So PX potential,
Yeah.
APX for existing growth, right? OGP for the dividends. So why does OGP pay such high dividend? Because of their dividend policy.
And because of their parent. Their parent tells them to.
Yes. It's 90% of free cash flow.
Yeah.
They're-
Which is, it's like a REIT.
It's a gold REIT, essentially, right? So that's why, whenever OGP dips, there's a lot of buyers because the yield is very high.
Yeah.
Even up to now, it's at what, 9%, 8%?
Yeah,
So-
and I remember the chart. If we go back to to OGP's chart, it did break below the 50-day moving average.
Yes.
And it closed at the low. But then, the same day after market hours, they declared the dividend,
Yeah.
a higher dividend.
gapped up.
And then it gapped up
Gap
the
up
next
so
day.
much.
Yeah.
Then that was the gap up to chase na talaga.
Yeah.
So, yeah, OGP. Then, sort of the obscure play is Lepanto, LC. So, what's with Lepanto? So, since second quarter 2024, their earnings have been positive already. So, they're turning around their business a lot. And I've been hearing rumors also that they could finally declare dividends, given
Wow.
that they're now profitable.
Another dividend play.
But it's essentially a potential, right?
Okay, yeah. So I guess you guys can take note of that. LC might become a dividend play.
Yeah. But if you look at their earnings, if you can see that their earnings are so high and it makes sense to
It makes
pay
sense, right?
dividends,
To
then-
reward, especially if you're a shareholder, like a majority. Obviously, I want to receive some of that dividends.
Yep.
The
And
earnings.
Lepanto hasn't paid dividends in like over a decade, I think.
So there's
So-
something there. Okay.
Then now let's talk about other gold miners. I mean, not miners, miners in
Another
general.
miner, yeah.
So let's look at nickel.
Yeah, so this one actually, very interesting. I did not expect this actually, to
Yeah.
find its bottom and rally significantly. 'Cause- so what happened?
Okay, let's look. So there's actually a fundamental catalyst as to why nickel rallied. So nickel is actually a beneficiary of the Indonesia nickel supply crunch.
Yeah.
So what happened was Indonesia is having a nickel ore shortage right now, and it also doesn't help that nickel prices are down right now. So what do they do when there's a nickel ore shortage and it doesn't make sense to sell them because the prices are so low? You simply cut production, right? Because it's not making sense to produce if you're not gonna be earning as much, right?
And with a lot of EV developments, a lot of people buying EVs, and all the companies, like Nvidia, AMD, trying to build better, faster chips, and then China also competing, nickel is a very important component in those production.
Yep. Then also Jakarta has been implementing very stringent controls on mining operations.
Yeah.
So they really want to conserve their mineral resources. So if Indonesia's not supplying most of the nickel, where is it going to? It's going to other countries like
Yeah.
the Philippines.
And I think reason why nickel is something to watch, especially going into 2026 as well, is because Trump is trying to make the entire world less reliant on China, because China still supplies majority of the world's rare earth minerals.
Yep.
So obviously, Trump has already signed some trade deals with some of the ASEAN countries, and hopefully maybe one day the Philippines, because we're not included. Only 3 countries were signed: Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia, I believe.
That's also why the U.S. government acquired MP
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Yeah. It's okay. Before we continue, I just want to say it's kind of interesting that Trump is the U.S. government is acquiring stakes in publicly listed companies,
Yep.
which is honestly quite interesting. It's a shift in the capital markets, in
Yeah.
capitalism. Okay.
So other things to note about is nickel ore exports to Indonesia are projected to reach between 5 million and 10 million tons this year.
Wow, that's from us.
Yes. And this is a big increase from just 1 million tons at the end of 2023. So
Wow,
that's
that's
around
huge.
900% growth in just 2 years because
Wow.
of the supply shortage.
And that's probably going to increase also in 2026.
Yes, definitely.
Wow, okay. Nickel, something nice
And
to
they
watch.
also declared a special dividend in after they released third
Yeah.
quarter results where their earnings essentially
doubled. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
expected.
So really keep your eye on nickel. If it sets up, you can buy the
Yeah.
breakup.
I already added it to my watch list, actually.
Yep.
All right. I believe the next one is Jarrod's favorite stock right now.
Not my most favorite.
Not his most
But
favorite, but
it's a
one of the
good-
favorites.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about RFM Corporation.
Yeah.
So,
Steady riser, actually, because despite everything, even if it's quite illiquid, it's still rallying. There's still some attention in the stock.
Yes, and lately it's been gaining volume. Right?
Yeah, especially after they released their biggest dividend yet.
Yeah, but of course, like each bid and ask is kind of small, so
Yeah,
you
so
really have to be careful when
With
you're buying.
RFM, you guys gotta watch the spread. Try to
Yes.
take advantage when the spread narrows.
Yep. So, what's going on with RFM? So, RFM is actually right now the highest yielding consumer stock.
Wow,
I think last we checked, it was at 8.61% yield.
that is very nice.
That's the highest yielding. And the good thing about RFM is it pays quarterly.
Wow, yeah, you don't see that a lot among
Yes.
consumer stocks.
So very consistent. And there's a lot of insider buying. Essentially from the president, Joey Concepcion.
Yeah, you can check the disclosures on that.
Yeah, like parang every few days he's buying.
Yeah, so it's a good sign that leadership or management is buying, especially when the price is not even that low anymore.
Yep. And they're also conducting its first ever investors briefing. Actually, it's supposed to be today.
That's crazy that they're having their first one.
First ever. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also a telltale sign that something is picking up
Yeah,
for RFM.
there's something going on.
Yeah.
And if you look at the earnings, it's nothing crazy, right? So revenues were up around 2% to 15.23 billion, but their net income is up 12.3%.
Wow.
So they're really cutting costs, right? Being more
So it's really
efficient.
based mostly on operational efficiency.
Yes.
Okay.
So because the revenues are more of flattish lang eh.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I think we can expect this to pick up, especially in the fourth quarter because of the holiday season.
Yeah, the holiday season always sees a pickup in consumer food.
Yeah.
Food, alcohol.
And it's part
yeah.
of everyone's Noche Buena.
Right. What's your
Medyo
favorite
Noche.
product?
Their spaghetti. It's
Spaghetti.
really the best.
How about their Selecta?
Their milk and
Their
ice
milk.
cream.
Yeah, milk and ice
Really
cream.
good.
Yeah.
Then another thing that's really piquing my interest is in their press release, they were saying that Joey Concepcion was saying that RFM's balance sheet is very strong and it's able to support its cash dividends and still have extra cash for any big capex or potential acquisition.
Wow. Do they even have big capex plans? Not
Well,
really.
Not really. So it makes me question: are they going to buy a brand or something?
What could they acquire though?
Like some consumer brand, right?
Yeah.
That's already out there. If they're not gonna make their own brand, right? So something that I'm very interested in because they're not gonna make that statement if they're not
Right?
they're not planning something, right? So that might be a clue. I don't know.
I hope RFM becomes one of the liquid stocks with better coverage, right?
Because right now I don't think anyone covers it.
Are you gonna make coverage on this stock?
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, all right. Something to look out for. Jarrod's coverage on RFM, maybe in 2026. Okay,
Next.
I think
What's
that
the next
covers
stock?
our only consumer stock, right?
Yep.
I think now the next one is one of my favorites. It's a utility company, Meralco. So as an investor, I love that earnings and rates are rising. As a consumer, I wish it didn't.
You wanna cry?
Yeah, but the goal is that your investment in Meralco will pay off your electricity bill. But that's a
Wow,
lot.
yeah.
That's a lot, right?
That's a good way to frame it.
Right?
Like invest in Meralco so that it pays your electric bill.
Exactly. So that way, you're not really shelling out, your savings anymore. You're just
Yes.
using your dividends to pay.
And you're okay
Yeah.
if the power rates go up.
Yeah.
Because the
Okay.
dividends will also go up.
Yeah. So year to date, Meralco is up 22%. One of the steady consolidators and climbers in the PSEi also.
Yep.
So it held steady, very steady, while the PSE got hammered. And I would describe it as a shelter amid economic uncertainties. It's a defensive play.
Wow, nice statement.
Yeah. So it's well known and well tested because as a defensive play throughout all the market cycles, it has consistent growth in terms of earnings and dividends. So something investors love to see. So Meralco basically powers Metro Manila, as a lot of people already know, and it's the most populated and most economically active region in the Philippines. So electricity consumption in Luzon and especially in Metro Manila is probably the largest in the Philippines. And electricity demand is expected to reach about 68,000 megawatts by 2050. And as of 2024, we're at 19,274 megawatts. And this year, I think we're expected to breach the forecast of 20,000 megawatts for 2025. So demand for electricity is constantly rising as the economy expands, people build, people consume, and that's why Meralco's earnings will be steady, at least in the very least, and continue to grow moving forward.
Yes, and it's essentially an inelastic good, right?
Right? Who does not need electricity? Because
You can't live without electricity.
you can't live without your phone already. You can't live without
Yes.
Wi-Fi. And what do you need for those? Electricity.
Yeah,
You need to
yes.
charge your phone. You need to power your Wi-Fi and everything. Yeah. So that's why. So one of the great things about it is its defensive cash flow in terms of all the aspects we just talked about. Okay, earnings though. Earnings core net income for the first 9 months of 2025 jumped 14% to 40 billion, and MVP has stated that they're expected to reach their target of 50 billion by the end of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's going to be a new record for them. Revenues hit nearly 4 billion, up 5% from higher generation charges, stronger contribution from its power generation. So, okay, so that's one of the great things about Meralco right now. Aside from franchise security, because they just got approved for another 25-year extension, franchise renewal beyond 2028. So that guarantees their operation beyond 2028.
Yep.
But the kicker for Meralco right now, in my opinion, is its power generation business. Because right now, as of the 9 months, it contributed about 37% of their consolidated core net income. 37%.
Wow.
That's huge already. And that's just for power generation. And it's expected to be among the best gencos in the Philippines because its contracted capacity with PSEis is about 92% already. And they have market leadership in Visayas and Mindanao in terms of grids. So they can easily expand if they have to.
Yep. And I think management also said that they want to list M Green or MGen in the PSE, right?
Yeah.
To raise funds. So I think that's just another layer of excitement.
Yeah, so Meralco gives growth and gives growth, not just stability, because of its rare combination between distribution, generation, which is growing very nicely. And with M Green, they already have many solar farms operational, but the main thing is Terra Solar. Their ownership in Terra Solar, which is supposed to be the largest in Southeast Asia, right?
And I think I saw in the news that MVP's been buying more shares in Terra Solar, like from Leandro Levis.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't he already out of Spinec?
I don't know, but I've seen parang he's selling a bit.
Yeah, but he sold majority na to Meralco.
Meralco's the majority owner right now.
So what is actually interesting now about Meralco is whether or not they're going to have an IPO spin-off for M Green. What do you think?
If the equity markets improve, why not?
Yeah,
right?
because that's been the excuse for a lot of IPOs lately. I don't want to go public yet because market conditions are not that
but I think
great.
If the issue is really attractive, like Maynila, right? It IPO'd at, let's say, not a really good time, right?
Yeah,
GDP was 4%. And
the same day GDP released at 4%.
It did go below IPO price, but right now it's above it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think companies that want to list, they shouldn't be afraid anymore because even if it goes down, if the company's value proposition is really good, then people will scoop it up.
Yeah, I think the most of the value will come from Terra Solar, right? And so that also begs the question: what is going to happen to Spinec if M Green lists?
That's the question everyone's talking about. That's why if you look at the Spinec, their stock price is like in limbo because if you list M Green or MGen, what's Spinec, right?
Yeah, they had two options, right? Backdoor or IPO.
It's basically a company with a stake in Terra Solar. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Or are you going to backdoor MGen or M Green in Spinec, which would make more sense because it's already a listed entity, right?
Because if they IPO M Green, then there's a case for them to delist Spinec because there's really no use in having right? Because Terra Solar is majority owned by M Green. And isn't Spinec under M Green?
Yeah, it's like different entities holding the same kind of asset.
The asset you want.
Yeah. So I don't know. let's see. That's
Yeah.
why we're not really touching Espinec right now because
I remember when it first came out that
There
there was a
was hype
potential,
kasi.
there was hype, right? The
Yeah.
potential backdoor
but
that
now it's fizzled
we
out.
were actually looking at it for the strategic growth, but then
Well, it fizzled
upon
out.
closer inspection, there was basically
Yeah.
nothing. It was just
And
a rumor.
Management's like, okay, they said this is possible. Then they'll say, oh, maybe this is possible. So like, what is it?
They're basically considering every option they have.
Yeah, and there's no clarity, right?
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay,
So
that covers the only utility stock that we are going to talk about today. Well, for the outliers, we are going to mention. Next one is the only holding company, the only holding company that's worth caring about right now because everyone else is down. So it's LTG. So LTG is up nearly 40% year to date. And look at that chart. That's a clean uptrend.
So
right?
steady,
So
grabe.
steady despite everything
I wish
that
all
happened.
stocks were like that.
And every dip, especially that dip to the 100-day moving average, it's such an opportunity to add and buy.
Yeah.
I actually, when it did hit 14 pesos and about between 14 to 14.20, I started building a position in LTG.
Nice.
So far, I'm happy because they just declared a new dividend.
And all-time high earnings, right?
Yeah. So LTG is a consistent dividend payer because it's further enhanced by its consistent special cash dividends. Only a few are like LTG, GSMI, and FB. But yeah, for every year they distribute about 4 special cash dividends every quarter. So that's one of the main attractions for LTG because without it, the truth is without the special, the yield is very low and it's not really worth considering. But for the first 9 months, it had its strongest performance ever. It was purely operational, nothing from asset sales one-offs, purely from its stake in PNB, Fortuna Tobacco,
Yeah.
and Tanduay Distillers.
Yep.
Yeah, so net income rose 14% year over year to 22.3 billion. Revenues grew at 4% across all segments. And gross margin improved actually to nearly 54% from 51%. So
Wow.
they're still improving.
Yep.
And the best thing about them is the recurring cash flow, which is needed to sustain their special cash dividends, comes from solid contributors. 46% of that comes from PNB, and then 36% from tobacco, Fortune Tobacco. And I feel like tobacco is quite an inelastic good because stress and people will want to smoke, but it's bad for you. And then 11% from Tanduay Distillers, which is alcohol, right? And then 4% from Asia Brewery. So they have a lot. These companies are still growing steadily. PNB is starting to gain momentum, especially after they reinstated, well, not reinstated, but they declared a special cash
Yes.
dividend.
And I think management's keen on implementing a regular dividend policy. So maybe in the coming years, it won't just be special. Hopefully,
Yeah,
regular.
hopefully, yeah, because that will sustain its price
Yeah.
momentum.
And hopefully they target like a
Yeah.
certain payout ratio.
Yeah, and
That will really help.
yeah, so because of these contributors, their cash flow source is quite defensive in the nature of their businesses. And for example, FTC, the Fortune Tobacco Company, has maintained a dominant market share for a long time, and actually it increased even more to 47% in the first 9 months of 2025, from to 46%. So, and with all their investments in their venture with foreign company Philip Morris, so their entity PMFTC basically contributes so much of their earnings as dividends to LTG or to FTC. And next is PNB. So PNB, as mentioned earlier, is starting to show some momentum in its earnings. It rose 23% in net income for the first 9 months of 2025. And we really want to see better dividends because if they reinstate regular cash dividends, it adds a new layer of earnings for LTG.
Yes, they can also pay that as dividends as
Right?
well, right?
Exactly. So that. And then Tanduay, surprisingly, I mean, it did grow 50% year over year in net income for the first 9 months. So it's very impressive that this is still growing very, at this level,
Yep.
right? And yeah, so LTG is a very generous, very, very generous dividend distributor, regularly distributing both cash and special. Although I do have to mention that its cash dividends has not really grown in the past 5 years.
Yeah,
It's
more
steady
of
at 15,
flat.
yeah, 15 cents. It really comes from their special cash, which they declared actually recently, or this morning actually, November 18, 35 pesos per share, 35 cents per share from 30 cents per share.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I guess hopefully if they keep hitting record earnings, eventually I think it will reach a point where they might increase dividends.
Yeah, so I'm expecting them to continue to distribute special into 2026 because the 9-month 2025 performance is record breaking. So they have the earnings, they have the room, they have minimal debt obligations to sustain this cash dividends. Yeah, so to me, it's a defensive stock hidden inside a conglomerate wrapper. That's how I would put it.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
you get a bank, you get a tobacco company, you get a distillery, and then you get some other investments. Although minor, but it provides some level of diversification.
And you also get a chunky dividend yield,
Exactly. Yeah.
which other holding companies don't really have.
It's still about 8% right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's only LTG and DMC with those
But
kinds
DMC is
of yields.
different. DMC is already starting to show weakness.
Yeah.
If we have to talk
Coming
about
from
it.
a high base kasi. So
That's the problem with commodity linked stocks.
But
Once the
LTG
cycle is over, earnings is
but
done.
LTG's businesses, they're very stable.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. Okay, next, let's go on to the industrials. Okay, who do we have for the industrial sector?
We have IMI.
I believe this is our only semiconductor stock.
We also have Ionics.
Oh, Ionics. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but this one
And-
has seen more action than Ionics.
Yes. So it's owned by Ayala.
Yeah.
It, so
Yeah.
this is up 85.2%
That's huge.
year to date, right?
Yeah. So what's the reason?
So what's driving this stock price higher is the earnings turnaround. So what was happening is they were in the red for multiple years, right? Ever since the pandemic, their business
Yeah.
model has really slowed down. So right now, revenues are still declining. So it declined by around 11% in the first 9 months. But the good thing is they're really cutting down on their expenses, right? So they restructured and then now they're cost cutting. So their OPEX is down 40% in
Wow, that's
first 9
huge.
months. Yeah. So their net income, it's swung to profitability from negative $17 million. It's now positive $13 million.
So it's really working. The actions they took last year
Yes,
is starting
it's
to
actually
show
working.
results.
Yep.
Okay.
And some of the things they did was they sold their IMI Czech Republic. So that really helped contribute to lowering their overhead
So
expenses.
they're just concentrating production in the Philippines in certain areas.
yes, the profit drivers, right?
Yeah,
So
they're focusing on what really generates the
then also
profit.
they're delevering. So their net debt is down to $124 million in September from $199 million at the start of
Okay,
the
that's
year.
good progress.
Yep.
That's good progress.
Then also, IMI also announced the consolidation of two of its Shenzhen sites into one big facility. So instead of two, right, you just make it into one big one, and you're optimizing your costs. Right?
Yeah.
So
They reduce redundancy.
yeah, so their margins have also been improving because of this. So what we really want to see in IMI is right now they're restructuring, their margins are improving, their costs are going down.
Yeah.
What we need to see from now on is whether their revenues can stop going negative, right?
If
Because
they
right
can
now it's still going
start
down.
to generate sustainable earnings.
Right now it's still going down double digits.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll have to see. Maybe in 2026 could be
Yeah.
the first profitable year.
Yep. So if the costs are already under control, they just need to at least keep their revenues flat or increasing. Then
Yeah.
IMI could actually really be a play.
So this is something to watch.
yeah, it's a
People are starting to expect or price in their expectations because it has rallied 85% and
Yes.
continues to rally today. Although it did, it has some volatile price swings. I'll give you that. It's hard to hold sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, with the price swings, it's insane.
And it's also quite illiquid also.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be a bit careful here. But for traders out there, I think this is something that you
We
definitely
do have a
should
trader
watch.
in our team who actually caught this stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a profitable position on this stock.
Yep. So next, okay, this is actually my favorite stock.
Okay, so
For
this
real.
this is hits Jarrod right in the heart.
Yes.
What is it?
Megawide Corporation.
Yeah.
So it's up around 14% this year. So
Although it was a lot higher.
yeah. So actually this really hurts me looking at the chart.
It's like a love-hate relationship with
It's
Jarrod.
like we had a good entry, we were up so much, and then it started to consolidate.
Yeah.
And now it's looking sad.
Yeah,
But-
the problem is the liquidity is not that great, especially when things scare you like Zaldico's video
Yeah.
statements.
So yeah. But let's talk about it. What drove M-Wide up?
Yeah.
So first is the 9.4 billion advances from Citicorp Holdings Investment Inc. or CHII and the sister company Citicorp Power Inc. CPI. So basically, it's just like the same umbrella of the Saavedra's
Yeah.
group, right?
It's a Citicorp group.
Citicorp Group, right? Which has Megawide, C-REIT,
C-Rec.
and C-REC.
Yeah.
Those three, they're under the Citicorp Holdings investment, right? So what happened was there were advances owed to Megawide from the two, right? So what happened was it was paid to them, right? To Megawide immediately, right?
Yeah.
So 3.5 billion is in cash, which once they got the cash, they already cut down
Their debt.
their short-term debt.
Yeah.
So minus 3.5 billion in short-term debt.
That's huge though.
Yep.
That's a big decrease.
Yeah. Then right now, I think they have like majority of the 5.9 billion in crack shares.
Yeah.
There's still a small portion that will be finalized before the end of the year. But essentially, by the end of the year, they will have 5.9 billion in crack shares.
Wow.
Yeah. So and management also said that, right, they paid down 3.5 billion in cash in short-term debt. They're not stopping there. They plan to cut down up to 10 billion pesos in short-term debt in the next 12 months.
So they really want to reduce debt.
Yeah, so they're really delevering.
Yeah, because if that happens, the interest expense is significantly lower and
Yes.
net income can actually be bigger now.
Yeah, and they have more cash flows,
Yeah.
right? So based on management, they said that they estimate around 700 million saved in interest expense each year.
That's huge. That's more than what they made last year.
Yeah, last year they made like 500 million,
Yeah.
right? So just by delevering, they're essentially that's like more than one.
They're gonna
times
basically
their-
generate in the billions
their
now in their
inter-
bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
So what does that say about valuation though?
So actually, we should look at valuation in terms of the CREC stake now.
Okay.
So right, they have a 5.9 billion CREC stake. M-Wide's market cap right now, last I checked, was around 5.6 billion.
So basically, you only have the stake of C-Rex.
So basically, the M-Wide's market cap right now is lower than its
Its
stake
stake.
in CREC,
Yeah.
which it doesn't make sense to me, right?
This kind of reminds me of the play we had for DD
Yeah,
with the Hotel
essentially.
101,
Yep.
the hype around it.
But here, it's the actual value, right? CREC is trading above 4 pesos, so it's actual tangible returns.
Yeah.
Right?
Just wait until Crack delivers better and more dividends.
Yep. And so here's the thing: when you're buying M-Wide right now at current price, you're only buying its CREC stake at a discount.
Yeah.
The rest of the Megawide assets are totally for free.
But can't you argue that there's a discount usually?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can argue that, but the fact that it's it's still less than its correct state. It's like you can definitely tell it's quite undervalued. Right?
It is, honestly, I think, because they're starting to turn around
Yeah.
with the 700 million they expect to generate every year from deleveraging.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there.
And what's the other main thing about this? The dividends, right?
Yes. So this we first caught wind of this when MY released a disclosure where they're increasing their max dividend payout for common shares to 50% of previous year's net income.
Yeah.
And
That's like-
if you know Megawide, they haven't paid dividends in like 2 years, right?
So if we go look at 2024, that's about 250 million in dividends.
Yes. So we dug deeper and we attended like a Megawide's one
Roadshow?
of their briefing, right?
Briefings.
And basically, President and CEO Edgar Saavedra said that, yeah, Megawide common shares does plan to resume dividends by next year, right? So, wow.
Next year, that means they'll be based on 2025 earnings, and if they did manage to get that 700 million in deleveraging,
Yes.
that's huge.
Yep.
It's a huge dividend.
And Megawide's also targeting around 50 billion in order book this year.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
So,
Yeah,
based on the first half, it's around 37, 38 billion.
that's good. Let's just hope that, because although with the order book they don't really get the profits right
No,
away,
that's
right?
just like the sum of everything they have.
Right. Yeah. So don't expect the earnings to jump just yet. It takes some time. They have to
Yes.
complete the projects
Yeah,
first.
and it takes around 2 to 3 years
Yeah.
average turnaround to complete.
But
the
it
project.
does provide visibility for the next few years.
Yep. And we haven't seen the updated order book figures based on the first 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll wait on that. Then we'll see if it's improved. But it should improve because they sealed the Megworld.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I think billion peso contracts for buildings.
You know what? I also hope to see next year with this whole flood control issue thing, that the government will start to say, okay, we want the publicly listed companies to bid for these government infrastructure
Yes.
projects because they have transparency and they are required to disclose everything.
Yeah, and not those small mom and pop
Right?
contractors.
Yeah, that are basically
that
owned by
just
government
steal
officials.
money, right?
Yeah, the trust is gone. I think one of the only ways to restore it is to give it to the publicly listed companies.
Give it to DMCI,
EEI,
EEI, Megawide.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Those guys, and they're accountable because they're publicly listed. They have
Yeah.
shareholders, right?
They're under the scrutiny of many regulatory bodies.
Yeah, SEC, PSE,
Yeah.
lahat, right?
So that's one way that I think confidence and trust can be
I
restored.
guess also San Miguel, right?
San Miguel. Oh yeah, San Miguel, definitely.
So there. And management is projecting their net income for 2026 to be around 1.2 to 1.5 billion pesos.
Wow.
Then 2027, 1.8 to 2 billion pesos.
Okay, so here we go in the billions now.
Yeah. So given that it's targeting a maximum of 50% payout, let's say gawin mong let's be conservative. Let's say 30% lang. They didn't change their dividend policy. Then you can sort of see, you can project like the dividend growth coming. So there. Hopefully we see. Hopefully like they execute it well, right? There's no execution risk in construction.
Nothing bad happens
like
until next year.
earthquakes and all those backlogs. But assuming what they say does happen, then right now Megawide's quite promising.
Yeah, it's very undervalued based on their projections for 2026 to 2027.
Yep. And like next year, if it's 1.2 billion, right now their market cap's like 5.6. How many times P? Like 4?
Yeah, that's little.
4 times P? That's still cheap.
That's below peers, I believe.
Yeah, that's very cheap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's the last on our list, but it doesn't end there. We do have some emerging outliers that could actually take shape in the next 12 months. And what are they? The first one, the first sector for emerging outliers are telcos. And it's no surprise that we added them here given the recent bottoming out for Globe and Tel. So Globe year to date still down 26%. Not great, especially if you followed us in the dividend harvest a year ago. Another thing also to look out for, I guess, is the Gcash, but I don't know when that's happening.
I think it got buried in the past now.
Everyone first once the Konektadong Pinoy Act was talked about, everyone just forgot about the Gcash
Yeah.
IPO. It's all about the IRR of this. And the next one is Tel, which is actually performing better. It's only down 1.3%, and it's showing greater momentum because this was the first mover of the
Yes.
sector. It was the first one to reverse.
Then Globe followed.
Then Globe. We're hoping for Converge next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as of this recording, yeah.
As of this
started going
recording,
up.
it did break out of its consolidation at the bottom. But we'll talk about that another time. So yeah, so what caused this reversal?
So for me, it's really more of, maybe it's like a by the news kind of
Yeah.
trade. Like everyone was bearish when they were speculating on what's going to be added to the IRR and all that.
How much damage it will do to the
So
incumbents?
it really sold off. Then once it released,
and
it
I
was
guess
still kind of bad for
it
the
was it's
telcos.
generally bad, net negative for the telcos, but not as detrimental. It's not going to kill them.
Yes.
Basically, it's not bad,
It
not
will-
entirely
it will
bad.
slow them down.
Yeah.
It's not like game over.
Because it will force them to improve. It
Yeah.
will force them to compete better with each other.
Yeah, and I think it's really about the market pricing in they price in clarity well.
Yeah.
And if there's uncertainty, they sell.
They
off.
sell everything.
Once they release the IRR, there was clarity.
Yeah.
That's why it.
Because
went
now
up.
it's all about the earnings and subsequent quarters. Because because with the IRR, competition is going to increase, and we expect to see lower prices, more services available for the consumer, and basically earnings compression because market share will start to get eaten up by new and maybe even better players to challenge them.
Yep. But nonetheless, our view is still that this is like an oversold
Yeah.
bounce, like a mean reversion. But at the end of the day, it's still net negative. So for me, I think it's just better that like once your losses have lessened or hopefully you're break even or at a small gain, you
Yeah.
can trim, reduce your exposure. Right?
Yeah. So what we want to look at also, and as once this is implemented, once they release the access list detailing what facilities, cables, infrastructure network that they have to lease out to the new players, that unlocks a new wholesale revenue stream for Globe, PLDT, and Converge. Now it will depend on what the rates are and how profitable it will be. So that's one positive, I guess, if you look at it that way. Another thing that they also implemented was the spectrum management. So if you guys don't know, that's responsible for transferring data and voice across the network, the spectrum, like 3.5 hertz. So what they are doing now is any underutilized spectrum will be taken back and redistributed to other players. So I believe PLDT and Converge have a good amount of unutilized spectrum. So if they don't use that effectively, it will be taken back and given to someone else. Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. But of course, we may be wrong. Like this could actually be the actual bottom.
Yeah,
for the
I mean, I
telcos.
hope it's the actual bottom
Yeah.
because PLDT 8% yield is crazy,
Yeah,
and it's still growing dividends. Globe, I have mixed
yeah.
feelings.
Actually, you know where Globe bottomed out with the price?
What?
Exactly when it hit 7% yield.
And
Like
then
exactly, that's where it wicked.
Oh wow!
So I think it's.
I think
more
this
of-
is when the yield starts.
It's
The
a
yield
dividend
floor.
floor effect,
yeah,
yeah.
dividend floor.
That's what really caused the bottom.
Yeah, like the next one, Manilad,
Okay, wow.
up almost 3% already.
So they couldn't have IPO'd at the worst time ever.
But they did recover faster than most.
So what I'm surprised the drop wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it did hit a floor of 7% before
Yeah.
it rallied. So the reason why we think that this could be because so we're projecting next year based on the 9 months earnings, which is about 11 billion, right? It can easily reach 15 billion, which would be the minimum for it to distribute based on its dividend policy per the prospectus. It will give 1 peso per dividend,
So
at least 1 peso.
So that's a 7% yield
That was a 7% yield
at
yeah.
15.
So
or a little bit lower?
1%, 1 divided by 15 is 6.67, but
Okay.
it did go, let's say 14.10. Sorry, 1 divided by 14.10, that's 7%.
So once it dipped near 14, that was a 7%.
That was 7%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really like what we said. That's the dividend floor effect.
Yeah. Because we're in a rate cutting cycle. The BSP might cut rates again in December to help the economy given the flood control issues, and that just makes high yielding stocks more attractive. So you have the car REITs, Maynilad, LTG, OGP, the telcos like PLDT. Yeah.
So initially for Maynilad, like once it went below IPO price, I was really hoping that the best time to buy Maynilad was when the market cap of Maynilad was in
Close to
equilibrium, was equal to
Manila Water.
Manila Water.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was around 12 pesos per share.
That's crazy. 12 pesos. That's an 8% yield at
Yeah,
1 peso
but
forecasted.
I guess the market said otherwise because they didn't really see Maynilad hitting 8%. It was impossible, right? That's why it started rallying from the low of like 14.02.
Yeah. So, Maynilad, something to watch now. Because I think they're going to push this for the PSEi inclusion,
And
right?
I think for it to hit the PSEi threshold, it has to stay above 17.
17 to be the safe bet, right?
Yes.
Safe bet.
So I think that's probably what they're going to
It's
do.
going to come in the August rebalancing next year?
Yeah, basta 1 year.
I know there's a provision if it's highly liquid and it's already
It doesn't
trading
have to
above,
be 1 year?
it's 6 months.
Okay.
They can cut it short, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but I know there's a provision for that.
So either 6 months or next year.
Yeah. But I feel like next year.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
1 full year after
One whole 12 months. 12-month period.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's another catalyst for Maynilad in the next 12
Yeah.
months.
And they also released earnings for first 9 months.
11 billion.
It's really good, huh?
18% year over year for the first 9 months. On track, I believe, to hit 15 billion by the end of this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And essentially, the catalyst there is the water tariff. Like same
Yeah.
as Manila Water.
Yeah, every infrastructure project they successfully do, they get at least a 12% nominal return.
Yeah,
on
based
investment.
on their opening cash position.
Yeah, as long as Manila Water or Maynilad continues to improve their infrastructure network, expand, build, their earnings and dividends will continue to compound because of the business model that the franchise or the government has dictated for our water utility companies.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that is it for our first episode. Thanks for staying us for the long game. My name's Franco.
And Jarrod.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.